to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages with our special guests, Grant and Greg from Curios. Welcome.
Hey guys.
Hey everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on and joining us for the podcast. Now, I know you guys. We've had drinks. We've been working together for almost a year, a few months, 6 months, maybe whatever it is.
Getting close to 6 months, I think. Yeah.
But a lot of our listeners, who include authors as well as readers, don't know you. So please introduce yourselves.
Sure thing. I'm Grant. I'm the founder of Curios. And, Curios was founded in my passion for music and technology. I've been doing technology for 20 years. Used to be a band member. I was the founding member of Lifehouse and DAWs. And we just absolutely love Willow Winters. Mm-hmm. And we love the author community. We think they're underserved. We're excited to share some of our story.
That's exactly right. I'm Greg. I'm a co-founder at Curios. I'm not as much of a creator. I'm not as talented as Grant is. However, I am a consumer of content, large consumer of digital content, audiobooks, ebooks, and we're both driven by the same passion in that we want creators to be served first and foremost. If you created the work that I enjoy as a consumer, I want my dollars to go to you and not to everything else involved, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the main mission that drives us.
Like Amazon.
Okay. Yeah. So to just clarify, can you guys break down like what this service you guys created is to authors, or is it to everybody? Is it more artists and stuff like that?
Well, it started with the music industry, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we service all creators and primarily creators of digital content, but our platform's extending beyond that. The simplest way to describe our platform is a direct sales and fan engagement platform. So direct sales in that, we don't want to get in the way. We don't want to take a cut. We're just giving you the tools to sell your work to your fans. And at the same time, to communicate with them directly without, contact information being obscured or ads being put in between you and your fan. That's the fundamental, proposition of our platform.
And I want to speak in author terms. So what you mean by customer information not being obscured is you get the name and email when somebody buys from you. And what you mean by you get the money is if it's $3 for sale, it's $3 that you get. And there's a small distribution fee that's charged to the reader or to the listener or whoever it is that's downloading it that you receive, correct?
That is exactly right. Yep. So the listener, if you include the credit card fee and our fee for a $3 book, they might be paying something like $3.70. But all $3 then gets to go to the creator of the content. And that creator is in control of their pricing at all times. So you could be like, I'm offering a sale, I'm offering it for free, I'm offering it for $9. It's a new release. You're in control, largely.
Which is unheard of, and because if readers understood, somewhere place like Amazon that they buy their thing, they'll be like, oh my God, this book is so expensive, and they'll you guys just do this to get money. And I'm like, do you understand that out of that $14 or $15 book, I get maybe $2 of that. So yeah, it's really so that to hear something like you actually get the $3. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. And so when we say fan, we mean reader in the context of authors, and you'll get your reader's contact information if they follow you on Curios, if they buy from you on Curios, or if they claim one of your free pieces of content to read.
Right. Yeah. And there are a couple of things that I'm excited about. I actually should have probably asked you guys about one of these things before we started this. But the first one, I know we're totally good to go in, which is that content creator fund that you guys have. I'm a huge fan because I got money.
Oh, that's right.
I'm a fan of money. Yeah.
Yeah. Willow was the first author to receive the entirety of the fund. We've had several musicians and other creators get to the highest level of the fund, but Willow was the very first author to do it. She did it in record time, less than 90 days, which is really impressive.
Yeah, we sort of figured it would take, 6 months or more for someone to reach the maximum tier, but Willow never disappoints.
Romance readers are a category. Yeah.
What's really interesting to me, though, is that I know we're talking about authors, but a lot of content creators within the industry who aren't authors, who are readers who have a t-shirt, or they make stickers, or they want to sell to authors with literally creative packages. They could also be on your platform, and there could be a community of industry as well as a community of fans, which I really like. And I think that we might see that organically happen because these are very young, they're very eager, a lot of these content creators. And I think if they see what's there, they would dive in head first.
And that's what we hope for. We've kind of designed the platform to be an open platform and flexible. And that's what allowed us to go kind of so quickly from just being very music focused to then opening the doors to authors. You know, it was a little bit of a discovery for us. We thought very similar to what you thought, Stacey, where it's like, oh, a $14 book, they're living lavishly, right? And then when we dug in, when you realize the reality of, okay, what does the platform take, you know, for an ebook or an audiobook? And then if there's a publisher and agent involved, then like how thin the line gets when it comes all the way back to the author, we're like, oh, this is perfect for our platform because we're here to change that. You know, that's our whole motivation.
I will say in True Blood, you ever see that show? It's an HBO.
Yes.
When Bill has a New York Times bestseller and he gets a big old mansion and all of this, it took me right out of the show. I didn't
like, I'm out.
All this. So I was like, this is so unrealistic. I can't.
Yeah, not the vampires. It was just
No.
Literally him in this mansion. I was like, absolutely not. This is new. Somebody should have fixed this.
But to go back to the creator fund, I know you kind of asked us to kind of explain what we do there, and the root of the creator fund was basically we did our new platform. We're excited to launch into different verticals and all these things, and we did our marketing analysis, and we realized that there's going to be this cost to acquisition per creator. So it's going to be like, all right, it's going to be about $50 to $100 to get an author to just use the platform. So we're going to just throw a ton of ad money out there, and we'll spend all this money and we'll convince these authors to then come use the platform. And we'll be targeting about $50 to $100 per author. So on spend. And then we realized, okay, let's park $1 million to do this. We'll spend that over the course of a year and a half, and let's go. And then when we realized before we launched, we were like, that $1 million is going to go to Meta, and it's going to go to Google, and it's not going to go to the creator. Our entire mission is getting the money back to the creator of the content that we love. Mm-hmm. So then it was like, this is completely disassociated from what we're trying to do. So we're like, we flipped in our head. We asked a bunch of musicians, we're like, hey, if we were to give you $50 to try the platform instead of spending on ads to convince you, would you prefer that? And they were all like, of course, And so that's kind of what sparked our program. We then worked with a lot of folks that have run grants for, lifetimes here in Austin, Texas, and got their opinions on how to set it up. And we basically developed a program where instead of us paying Meta to convince you to try something, we'll just pay you to try it. And as you do better and try more things and reach sales and reach milestones, we give more and more money.
Yeah. And that's the second fundamental concept there is that a lot of sweepstakes or grants programs require you to apply. Sometimes there's a voting component and people's opinions weigh into whether or not you get the money or it's random. Mm-hmm. We didn't want that to play in. So we actually set it up to reward creators who do the work that they need to build their career. Instead of it just being, random or voted on by people out of your control.
Subjective.
Yeah. So do the work and we'll grow together. That's the idea.
Mm-hmm. And you also have that word of, sorry.
Okay. Good.
You also have that word of mouth incentive as well, where if we're talking about it on a podcast and an author signs up and says, hey, I heard Willow talking about it, then I get a percentage as well from them. So even if you hit that max payout for the creator fund, there's still more to grow in terms of extra money. So not even just the sales and the customer information, but that let's build that community.
Yeah, that's our referral program. Yeah.
I heard 1.5 years. Is that, so if authors are listening, they should do it now. Was that the estimated timing?
Well, we haven't allocated a specific time frame on the creator fund. Mm-hmm. We actually might be expanding the amount of money in the fund because of its success. So we don't have any specific timelines, but if the fund does run out, there's not going to be any more money. So get it while you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I signed up.
One of the things we're working on is the next levels now too, Willow, since you've reached those hurdles. We're trying to work on, okay, what are next levels we can add to then,
I love a next level.
That's right.
Give me a challenge. I'm here for it.
And then you'll beat it in a week. We'll be like, that wasn't hard enough.
Right.
Well, this does bring me to what could be. And let me know if this is something you'd rather keep hush. But we're talking about deliveries, right? Or deliverables, I guess, for author websites, for authors who don't necessarily have a website with Shopify link or something like that. and they're not used to doing their own kind of shipping. Like I have a warehouse with employees, right? Full-time, multiple employees. Colleen gets all of the customer service emails. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. A lot of
have
authors,
so much fun.
yeah. A lot of people aren't like me, but I would love for them to benefit, and I would love for their readers to be able to acquire it. I know that there was a little buzz, a little chit-chatting, a little meeting people at Author Nation. Anything you want to say about potentials for like physical drop sales or things of that manner?
No.
Yeah, well, I'll start with something top level, which is that our mission as a platform is to help creators monetize their work in as many ways as possible, right? We're starting with digital content delivery and definitely plan on expanding from there. And yes, we have made some partnerships that haven't been announced yet, but we're working on some print on demand, as well as some other fulfillment solutions so that physical products can also be sold and monetized on our platform.
Yeah.
That to me is the what we are dying for.
Yeah.
We are tired of Amazon. All of us honestly would probably walk away from it today if readers wasn't their hub still. And it wasn't, and the fact that I'm not a Willow yet. Poor Colleen is my distribution center. Colleen
does a lot.
Yeah. And so I think we were even talking about what about a co-op or something like that, like us authors getting together and doing something like this where I think physical books, because people want the special editions, they want physical books again. So I think that if you guys, that would be the number one thing I think a lot of authors are looking for, because we're doing our own shops now because we're tired of the big corporations basically bleeding us dry, even Shopify taking so much percentage.
The ceiling keeps lowering on these platforms. The competition keeps growing. The spend that authors are putting out is becoming astronomical, and they're going to push it until it's not even profitable. A lot of authors, they don't make a profit on a new release because they're spending all of the money to be at the top to try to get back catalog read through, because they need a new release to be a success. And if it's not, they don't have anything, right? And so it's not a sustainable system as it currently is. And we've seen it decline drastically in the last, I want to say 5 years. But I know before that it's
been a sharp churn lately. Yeah.
So
if you look at what companies like Amazon are doing, they're not really doing anything. It's like, hey, give us your credit card and we'll give you the book. It's not rocket science. Why are they charging so much?
Yeah, now so if you take something like an audiobook on Audible, and you choose to be exclusive, they're going to take 60%. Correct me if I'm wrong in the numbers, but they're going to take 60% of that.
They take your soul, actually. It's in the contract.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
60%, your firstborn, and then your soul, upon death. I think it's, But it's basically they do all that, and then they're going to be like, all right, well, now if you want to sell, you have to pay ad money for us to get 60% of your sale. Yeah. And it's that does not work. For me,
not to mention you're already doing all your own marketing through social media.
Exactly.
So it used to be that people who did the marketing would take the commission, and they're not really doing any marketing. Or what they're doing is they're taking the profit from your sales and using that to invest in marketing to new authors or new readers to keep for themselves.
Anyways. Well, they actually correct me if I'm wrong, Stacey, you might actually have a better understanding of this, but doesn't Amazon lose money on the Kindle Unlimited program? So much so that it eats into their profits.
Oh yeah, that's why page reads are so low. The cost for page reads.
It's
the whole purpose.
It's 0.4 penny on the penny or something like that for page read. Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's a losing system.
And then they charge us if there's a return. They charge us if there's all this other stuff that they added, all they do is give the person the book, but we're charged that distribution, that just the ebook.
Did you see that post recently? Guys, you're going to hear a little bit of gossip right now, okay? This is, again, the theme of this podcast is bars, is authors drinking at the bar. There was a post the other day, anonymous author in a group, even though the admins know who it is, which frustrates me. But an author posted and said she owes money to Amazon because she gave away a book for free during this promo. Readers purchased the rest of the series and en masse returned them. So she was in the negative for doing a freebie sale and then having readers like the book so much that they then use the Amazon system as a library. which is what it's not.
Right.
Right.
So it is wild.
How would you guys do? What do you do on returns? I mean, like, do you guys? What is your?
We eat it in the short term.
Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of depends. It's like case by case. So the official policy is because we're digital content focused primarily, especially right now. With digital content, it's non-returnable. Is kind of the policy, and that's because you can read it and turn it back.
It should be.
I love that.
It's not.
It makes no sense that they
Yes.
get an ebook, they read the ebook, and then they can give it back. It makes no sense.
But if
That's
there
what
are
we
edge
do.
cases where like some people are really unhappy or they bought the wrong thing or they had some technical issues, it's like no problem.
Yeah.
You know, we're customer service oriented. The authors don't have to worry about that because you should be writing books, not doing customer service, and we handle it. But if a certain author, you know, did something that was misleading or inappropriate and that caused people to want to return the book, then we would hold, you know, that author responsible for violating some policies.
And we'd work with them too. It's usually like pretty,
Has anyone done it? I'm kidding.
No. We've only ever done like a handful of refunds, so it's been very limited.
Yeah,
I know, because they're like, oh, we'll give them 3 days. I'm like, do you not know romance readers? They can skim that in like 2 hours. They can
they're going to hear me
that
be
book.
like case by case. They're going to be like, we're going to come for that.
Well, and the thing is also when you're selling your book on Amazon, you have to sell it for $15 so you can make $2. But if you sell it direct, you could sell it for $3. And in that case, you're making more money. And the reader's like, well, it's only $3. I don't really care if I get a refund or not. I read the book or I read half of it or who cares?
As well as audiobooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the weird things that's happening with the systems now is like when you have the platform being served first, like a Kindle Unlimited style system, it's like it comes at the expense of the reader and it comes at the expense of the creator, and a lot of the platforms are that way. Where it's like the readers don't want something, the authors don't want something, but the platform made a rule, and now everyone has to like deal with this problem. And so we're just like, we kind of want it to be a lot clearer. So it's like, give the readers what they want. They want access to the books, and then give the authors what they want. They want direct access to the readers and all the money. It's their work. You know, it's just kind of, we're trying to keep it very simple in the approach.
And actually that reminds me, Stacey, I think you had mentioned something about authors creating their own websites, their own stores. That's actually something that we're trying to prevent authors from having to do because they can use Curios as their store. And we do support already in beta testing having physical items that you collect shipping addresses for if you want to fulfill it, because we're not doing the fulfillment. This idea that an author also needs this idea that an author also needs to know how to set up and configure and manage their own website and their own store is just, again, it's out of scope. Like authors should be writing.
And then even the cost on it. So you have your domain, you have to get your domain, you pay that annually, and then you've got a Shopify fee monthly. That can be pretty expensive depending on where you are in your career. So like, I think that a good route is always to go independent, but it's like, if your costs are stacked that heavily against you, it might be a hard decision to make, you know, to trust that it's going to work. So we're trying to present a solution that lets you get going, right? I mean, considering that you have the book complete, you can get that up online for sale, like 5 minutes or less. You have a destination to point your readership or to start pointing your readership. And then you have a way to start collecting and growing your fan base in a way that you keep. You know, the email list is your readership. They're your fans. Like you can take them to another platform and say, hey, I'm launching this on Amazon. Go read it. And that's your prerogative. It's your readers.
I mean, Willow, I imagine you picked up quite a few email addresses through Curio.
Yes. Sophie would know the exact number. Unfortunately, I obviously am not focused on shipping things physically anymore. And I'm also not focused on the newsletter anymore. I have all of those employees now, right? But most authors don't. And I do want to say a lot of authors are in Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
Right. So their ebooks couldn't go on the platform, but their audiobooks could. Their fan art can be a digital download. Yeah, so authors could have, if they're not willing to do their ebook, there's so many other products and community-driven items like fan art. You could have bookmark downloads. Some of these items could be free, which then goes towards the creator fund, or just gathering that customer information. So you can be closer to customers, which is what Amazon doesn't allow.
Oh
Right.
yeah, they want to keep that very far apart.
Yep.
And for this, the reason that you guys have mentioned, it's like, well, they have the readers, so now you're like, oh, I
Right.
better go there. But as soon as you have the readers, now you're empowered, you're in control, and you can kind of reshape your careers.
Yeah.
And
And our business model is totally different. We want to have the tools so
Yes.
that you can then come to us because we have the best tools, right?
And I know that they do have some readers, right? But it used to be, if you looked at that top 100 on Amazon, 90 out of 100 were romance books. If you looked a week later, there were 85 new romance books, and the other 5 were on the way out.
Mhm.
Now, if you look at that top 100 list, what, 30 of them are romance?
If you're lucky.
15
Yeah.
of them are books that have been around for 2 years and just stay in the top and have been purchased by publishers who have these contracts with Amazon, or they're spending all of this money. Visibility is expensive on Amazon now to get into that top 100. They're spending thousands of dollars a day, period. So if Amazon has the readers, how are you even going to get access to those readers when you can't even get visibility because they've changed the algorithm so much and people are spending so much money now?
Yes.
So I kind of like fight that notion of being on Amazon is good for finding readers. Being on social media is great for finding readers.
Mhm.
Where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
spend them is where you're going to get that money in terms of ROI, like, and being smart about that.
And we have a suggestion for people who are planning on going exclusive with Amazon is that you first launch on Curios, your ebook or audiobook or both, and market to your audience, your friends, your family, your fans, your social media followers, get whatever sales you can direct. And when you've exhausted those channels, then put it onto Amazon and say, here, Amazon, you try to get me some more readers.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what we think. Yeah. And it's, one of the things too is it's whatever works for the author and their situation too. So one of the main things that we're trying to just provide is an open door, and it's a tool set. It's available. We never charge the creator anything, so it's free to use as a creator. So here's an open door for you to take and use it as it works for you. Certain authors are in different places. Some people don't have audiobooks yet. They're working on that, and it's like, this is ready if, when that situation presents itself, is kind of where we're trying to position ourselves.
There's also authors who have these like quote unquote dead books. I say, they're ones that need CPR. So you put like a first in series free for a series that is years old that isn't even profiting anything anymore. It would be so easy to just take that series and put it onto another platform, a different platform. Have your first in series free, have 3 of them free for all that matter. Like, you can get your money through the creator fund, right?
Yes,
And you
exactly.
can use that series to generate an income, because what authors really need is stability. And when
Yeah.
you're working with a system that is designed to be unstable, that keeps you pumping out work and keeps you spending money on the platform, it's the opposite of stability. So,
And that actually hits on.
I didn't realize how much I'd be ragging on Amazon. I hope my reps.
No,
I love my
they deserve it. They deserve it.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you
tough
think
for me because all my conversations end up going that direction, and I'm just like, I like what they did, but now they've squeezed it too tight.
Well,
Yeah,
they didn't
yeah.
do anything. They just offered a centralized commerce platform that, they kept all the customer secret on.
They
Yeah.
they intentionally set up a system that would put other competitors out of business, right? Like when what was the bookstore that went out of business? Amazon bought it
Barnes
to
and
put it out of
Noble.
business.
Barnes and Noble.
Walden.
So no.
Barnes and
Was it
Noble.
Walden?
No, Borders Books and Music.
Borders.
Yeah.
Borders. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kindle Unlimited had been created
Hey,
then.
Kindle Unlimited was what really killed it, because
Yeah.
that's when they decided their own algorithm. Like,
Yep.
they're going, nope, if you're exclusive with us, we'll make you top. Other than that, screw you.
Mhm.
So, and I think that's really at one time, again, like everything with them, it worked until it didn't. And now I don't even know if people coming up new would even, able to work it to get on a list. I just feel like they have their list people, and that's, their darlings, as I call it. And then now it's I don't know, Amazon to me feels like there's nothing except throwing empty money at it. So
I have an
it's nice to
interesting,
know that.
I have an interesting topic that's related that I want to hear from you guys on. So it seems that the industry has moved towards rewarding authors for creating more content quickly, right?
Mhm.
Which
And spending
arguably,
money. You
spending
can't
money.
just create the new content. You have to spend the money
yeah.
on creating the new
Right.
content. Yeah.
which arguably lowers the quality of the content, right? If you spend years building a book, it is going to be a sophisticated masterpiece. If you spend a week, well, I'm sure it'll be good, but
Potentially. Sometimes when that muse hits, it flows.
Yeah.
And there are some classic greats that were written very quickly. But I think towards what you're saying, it also would push AI, right? It would be like hire ghostwriters, use AI, like that kind of mindset would be the most profitable
Right.
if that's what is like the system, right? And that's what we're seeing. There's an influx of AI written books, and a lot of people do
Like
very
we didn't,
well as ghostwriters.
we didn't have enough to fight against. Like now,
I know. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you though. So
Johnny Five now in the computer world. He's taking my job.
See, I'm the kind of person who likes the slow burn, the like intense attention to detail that takes a
The
lot of
George
time
R.
to think
Martin.
through it and like connect to the beginning and
George R. R.
I'm a
Martin,
fan of
and
George
then
R.
you
Martin,
had
for sure.
Stephen King. You've never read what you did? What?
Oh no, I'm a huge fan of George R. R. Martin.
Oh, okay.
I've read-
I would be. But Stephen
Yeah.
King and George R. R. Martin, I think, are two great examples. And they did I think it was a podcast together. Stephen King writes so very fast, and he writes so consistently. I think it's just a part of his therapy. Versus George R. R. Martin and George, like watching the two of them just look at each other, and the one like, why is it taking you so long? And the other one, how are you writing so fast? Like,
Right.
it's a matter of the creative, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll say the model of what they're talking about is that, remember in 2 weeks, people were like, oh, I have a new book coming in 2 weeks. And then another 2 weeks, they're like, oh, I'm releasing again. I'm like, sorry, but there's a limit of quality because of editing, book cover, like that takes time. So I can understand what you guys are talking about. There's, they're rushing. So.
Yeah. Or they're hiring, it's a different person who wrote each of those.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Or they're using AI. Yeah.
Right. Or mixtures of all of them,
Yeah.
most likely. Yeah, there's something interesting that you brought up, Stacy, which was the like the Kindle Unlimited model, the cost per page read. That is just music industry 101. And I have a lot of friends who are MBAs, so I know that you're very intelligent people, but what happens is an MBA comes up with a model, they integrate it into a system, and then you study it in business school, and then the new MBAs take that and they apply that model to other areas. It's exactly what we see is happening with books. And when we started diving into books, and Willow, you were like one of our first conversations with authors, we started diving in and opening the doors on what it is like as authors. And it's just like the entire time we're hearing about changes in the industry and how things are moving, it was like, this is exactly what happened to the music industry. Like we're just like re-witnessing it. It's like, okay, per page read is basically the same as a per.
Well, we need the Napster, the Napster, like we need, because like our stuff has been copyrighted right and left. Like music finally stood up and was like, we've had enough of people downloading our stuff for free, and we're still being pirated. We're still being like, my books need to have our Napster moment where we're like, enough.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, musicians don't really make money on their music anymore. It's their tours and their merchandise. And I'd hate to see that happen to authors as well,
Well, and even that gets interesting in that the tour production costs and, the parties involved, it can be pretty hard to even clean money on that side. So then the real hope is like landing a commercial, like that you're, in a perfume commercial or
a movie.
Yeah. Or an actress in a movie. And it's just like a weird scenario to be in. When it's like your art is the thing that got you famous and is so consumed, and authors are in the same boat where it's like the art is what people want, it's what people are consuming, and then you're trying to have to monetize these other methods is kind of an interesting problem that we see.
Because the society still doesn't deem art as something that we should be paid off of. They should just get for free. Yep. So we still have this where I will pay $10 now for this Starbucks coffee, but heaven forbid I pay $3 for your book and then I'll read it and return it. Amen. It's just, exactly. Art is still treated less.
One of the things, I'm going to sound like such an asshole, that I like to do sometimes.
We're already pro. Yes, go.
Well, looking up like artists, like where they are now, kind of, who have had these hits, and it is jaw dropping. Like how some of these people, you would think that they got their bag with their music, like being everywhere, even still today, sometimes in these hits. And a lot of them, there's no money there. Right. It's a lot like, I had who was it who said this to me? Somebody in the industry, either a lawyer or an accountant or a financial person, said to me, I like to treat my authors like they're athletes, because you get a big lump of money for a moment and then it's gone. It had to have been like a financial manager. Had to been.
Yeah.
I can't place it right now. But it's so true, like the high highs and the low lows. So being able to sustain, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
But
It
she's
reminds
coughing,
me
and she's
of,
like, "Oh my God."
I know it.
It reminds me of, I think Snoop Dogg was quoted to say he had like 1 billion streams on Spotify and he got paid something like $45,000 for 1 billion streams. It's wild.
Yeah, he made his money in his merchandise.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
just being
That's
Snoop.
Michael Jordan made his money
Yeah.
with merchandise and commercials.
Mhm.
That's and you've got to take that avenue. And
But we don't, and let's be honest, we don't have that as like, I mean, we have our books, we have our special editions, but we don't have that outlet. So we are struggling for our books to be our merchandise, you know?
Yeah, well, you're not
So-
necessarily like TV personalities the same way an athlete is, right? They're always on camera. People know their face.
And there's so many more of us. And there's
Mhm.
4,000 new pen names a day right now.
And you're all struggling to be noticed.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah,
Wow.
this has been
So
a
how
very
can we be
uplifting-
noticed on your app? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, how can we help? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the thing about our app is it's really about giving tools to authors to build a successful career. You know, we can't take control of the creative aspects of your career. That's on you, the author. But everything else in terms of having a destination for your readers so that you can build a following that you can market to and remarket to, where you have different monetization tools, not just selling your content, but also selling merchandise. There's other things that we haven't announced yet, which are other monetization tools we're working on. If you do good work and you put out the effort, you should be able to get the money, you know?
And one of the things we try to kind of make sure is like a key element of our tool is that any forward progress that you make can have future momentum to it. So that's why it's like, if you give a book away, you know who got it and you can then contact them on your own terms, you know? So that gives you a little bit more forward momentum. It's like, okay, well, you launched a book and maybe it wasn't as successful as you wanted, but now you collected some email addresses, and then that will then create momentum for the next one in a way that's sustainable. You know, kind of talking about the best-selling lists on Audible or Kindle Unlimited or wherever it is, it's like that is unsustainable because 1 minute later you're off and now you can't get back on. And it's like, you know, trying to do things in a way that provides a more sustainable career path is like the root of what we're trying to do, you know?
yeah.
So,
And it's good to have more independent, because let's be honest, there might be some changes coming because of political stuff that
There will
romance
be
are
changes.
now.
It's
Yeah.
just a matter of which
That they're
one.
already coming after us. They're already going like, you know, so it won't maybe be long before Amazon goes, we won't sell your book on here because it's considered porn or
Yes,
whatever, you know,
exactly
because it has kissing or loving it, you know. So it's I'm really highly recommending, especially anybody new or old, you know, to try these new platforms that are more independent, because, you know, it won't be long before they're controlling us in different ways of like, sorry, we're going to push down your stuff, you know.
that's
I mean,
right.
they changed
So-
the algorithm from 5 years ago where
Yeah.
what was actually selling was romance books. What's still selling is romance books. But
Yeah.
what's on a
But
bestseller list
yeah.
is not the romance books.
Mhm.
So yeah.
I'll pose a question. I'd like to know from you authors, what's one thing you can think of that is desperately needed that we can help build?
I think I named it already. I think a kind of a warehouse kind of shipping real books that kind of puts them together for you, that basically you send them the, like, you know, we want these books or special editions. That's a really, you know, if you guys have
Yeah, so like
connections
fulfillment
in that,
services.
Mhm.
yeah, like getting, you know, because a lot of times we're going to like, oh, we have to, and especially with now these tariffs, like we have companies in China we're probably no longer going to be able to afford to use.
Mhm.
So it's finding local of like, because I know special editions are such a huge thing right now. And I feel like, well, we have to go to this person for this thing and then this person for this thing. And it's just, I think we want more of a community, like
And all in one
all in
is
one.
more needed. Yeah.
And the thing is, these companies exist currently as they are.
Mhm.
Some of them.
Mhm.
A partnership with an existing company, some kind of a plugin or whatever, would be
Mhm.
brilliant and potentially quick, right?
Mhm.
And that would catch fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire.
It would be brilliant,
I'm
actually.
here for burning
Yeah.
shit down in 2025. So let's do
Yeah.
that.
I'm with you.
Let's do it. That is why we built the platform. We want the creators to be able to like rise up and take control again, you know? That's kind of where we're at. But.
So Willow, I cut you off.
Yes.
What you were saying.
What I recommend for authors, make the account, list some items for free, like bookmarks, fan art. Your audiobooks do not need to be listed for free, but 1 or 2 would be great, right? Or chapters, right? You're tapping into that creator fund. You're getting the information from your readers and establishing a pattern there that they can access you outside of Amazon, and you can get that information and you can have that community build that doesn't exist on Amazon, right?
Exactly.
So I just give it a try, and have that other revenue stream. You know, I've done so many talks this year on multiple revenue streams, being in multiple places, and it really does provide stability. And I'm just hoping that there's more stability for authors in 2025. Maybe not towards the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in the back end. We'll see.
We'll see.
That's exactly what we're hoping to. And we advocate that a lot. Is like, we want to have, like I was mentioning with the doors, we want to have an option, but we want you to do whatever works for you as an author. So like, I think having web real estate is the key. It's like, get your books on everything you can and have multiple places people can access your content, you know?
Go wide.
Yeah, go wide.
Yeah, I don't understand people that are like all their eggs in one basket, because if that basket breaks, you are screwed, and
And
it
we've
just,
seen that so many times.
Yeah.
There are so many authors who were on the highest of high, and then everything changed and they weren't able to shift in time, or they, or they just chose not to because it was so disheartening, because it is like, it's very emotional working in an unstable career.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm
I can
it's
imagine.
tired. It's very easy.
The one interesting thing too is like when it comes to control of your copyright, like when it comes to like movies and things like that. And, that's one of the pieces where I find it just, I can understand, but at the same time, I can't, it's hard for me to imagine giving up your work, giving up the rights to your work is something that's very difficult for me to imagine. And I know in the music business, it's terms are sneaky everywhere, where when you allow your work to be distributed through Spotify and places like that, you are giving up a lot of your rights to your work, just inherently in their terms and things like that. So that's another area that, we're hoping to change. We want, you created the work. We want you to have the ownership of it for your life, we just want those avenues to be in place. Yeah. So.
Also, is there future events you guys are going to be at that people can meet with you and speak with you?
Yeah, actually, thanks for asking. We've got, we're going to be doing our own event called Creators Unleashed at South by Southwest. And that's in March. We've also got Writers MBA.
Doing Writers MBA, Thriller Fest,
and Author Nation again later this year. And there might be one more in there, but off the top of my head, those are the ones that will be in attendance.
I love it. We got to get you to a romance one. Like a romance one.
Yeah.
The big one. Yeah.
You can tell us offline if you want as well.
Who is a big romance one now?
I feel like the one in Vancouver will be big this year.
I'm going to that one. That's gonna be
we're going to that one too.
There used to be Readers Take Denver and Book Bonanza, both of which were massive, thousands of peoples. Oh my goodness. Can you tell I'm getting over being sick? Thousands of people. Excellent mix of industry.
What was that one you just went to in Vegas?
That was Author Nation that he just
Author Nation,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to go to that one next year. Yeah.
Yes, you should. It was excellent for industry. Like I had a blast. I also was drunk half the time. Luckily, the half
It's
was
Vegas.
Yeah.
It's Vegas.
Yes.
So,
Well,
all right. Well, it was great meeting you guys.
Yes.
And if you have any last final word, otherwise we'll let you go.
Oh no, wonderful to meet you guys as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, likewise. And just, we're a platform that just wants to be the tools that are useful to authors. We're not trying to take ownership of your content or deep cuts on your sales. We just want to be the tools.
That's right.
love it.
Everything's to the ground.
Thank you so much for coming on. If you have any comments, please leave them below and we'll make sure that Greg and Grant hear them. Thank you so much. Make sure that you share, subscribe, and do all those wonderful things too. Love you guys and talk to you on the next one.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.